Well, another day and another trail to conquer. Today's trail is Joffre Lakes, one of my favorite hikes. In fact, I was up there just last year. But it's such a pretty trail going past three lovely mountain lakes that I wanted to share it with you folks. So let's go see. To reach Joffre Lakes, drive north on Highway 99, past Whistler, up to Pemberton. At Pemberton, stay on Highway 99 by driving straight through the traffic light towards Mount Currie. At Mount Currie, shortly after entering the 30 kilometers per hour zone, you'll have to turn right to stay on Highway 99. Continue driving along Highway 99 up the switchbacks onto the Duffey Lake Road and watch for the signs for Joffre Lakes on the right. Well, here we are. It took me about 2.5 hours to drive up here, and as you can see, the parking lot is already pretty full. So you got to get that early start if you want to get a good spot. There's overflow parking down the road a bit, but it's a little bit of a pain to use. Now, here's a tip for you. When you come in for your hike and you find a parking spot, don't park in the shade. Instead, take a look at where the sun is and where it's going to be when you come back. And I'm betting that these trees here are going to provide me shade by the time I get back. So that should mean my car will be a little cooler than it would be if I parked in a place that's shady now, but sunny later. Okay, let's get started on our hike. Okay, from the parking lot, you almost immediately go by lower Joffre Lake, and then you do some elevation gain through the forest to middle Joffre Lake, and then final sprint up the mountains to upper Joffre Lake, where you get quite a beautiful view of the Mathieu Glacier. So this is going to be a good hike. And we have some nice pit toilets at the start. Well, nice is a relative term, I guess. It's nice at the toilets here, but I've seen a lot better. If you're coming up, you might want to think about doing your business at Nairn Falls. Their toilets are, I think, a lot better than this. So we got 4.7 kilometers to the campground, or a mere 4 kilometers just to the upper lake. And it's a popular campsite, so if you want to pack some a tent in and camp overnight, you better make a reservation. But the first part of the trail descends from the parking lot through a nice forest. And as you can see, it's very picturesque, and the trail is quite well graded. And just a couple of minutes from the parking lot, there's a fork that will take you down to the lower Joffre Lake. Let's go and have a look. And what a scenic lake with a nice little bench to sit and enjoy it by. And up in the distance we can see the glaciers that are above the upper lake. And you just gotta love that lovely turquoise color. That's the real sign of a glacier-fed lake. Okay, that was like literally a 30-second walk down that trail. Now we're back at the junction. So let's proceed up to the middle and upper lakes. As we skirt the edge of the lake, we come across the outlet, which is Joffre Creek, which flows down into the Lillooet River and eventually down into Harrison Lake and the Fraser River. And we get a few glimpses of lower Joffre Lake as we traverse the woods beside it. This is quite a popular trail. I'm here on a Monday. You can imagine what it's like on a Sunday or a Saturday. The trail's been relatively flat until now, but once we leave the lower Joffre Lake, that's where the climb begins. Well, I think this is the section where the rock slide is. When I first came here almost 2 decades ago, this is all just open rocks, all boulders. No trail through the boulders, you have to clamber across them. But it is like way better now. And it's worth taking a look backwards every once in a while because there's some pretty good views in that direction. And here's Joffre Creek between the middle and lower Joffre Lakes. And we've arrived at the section with the stairs. which, as I recall, is the steepest part. This looks like a good spot for a bit of a break and a little bit of a snack. Nice log to sit myself down on here. Oh yeah, perfect spot for a little bit of water. That's my story. Nothing to do with the climb. Okay, we're on the road again. Yeah, it's funny how the memory fails to remember just how arduous these sections are. Why did I come up here again? Luckily, there's lots of nice little spots to take a breather. You don't have to do it all in one go. And we've come to a switchback. Halfway up the switchback, beautiful view back down into the valley, and you can see the lower Joffre Lake far below. And we come over a bit of a rise and start to wind down towards the middle Joffre Lake, which has that same beautiful turquoise color. And we're getting closer to the glacier. Oh yeah, I remember now. This is why I came. Spectacular alpine lakes. And lots of people to appreciate them. And just beyond that spectacular viewpoint is the bridge over Joffre Creek, coming out of middle Joffre Lake and traveling down the hill towards lower Joffre Lake. And for those who feel the need, there's another set of washrooms here. And we have 1 more kilometer to upper Joffre Lake and a little less than 2 kilometers to the upper lake campground. And so far I've been on the trail about 1 hour and 10 minutes. And there's lots more beautiful views of Joffre Lake, although the best views of the glacier come at the beginning. We're leaving the middle Joffre Lake and commencing up another grade towards upper Joffre Lake. And here's quite a rocky section. Trail is a lot less defined here, but rocks are easy enough to clamber over. And right after the rocky section we have Holloway Falls, where Joffre Creek takes quite a tumble. This is really picturesque, very beautiful. You really should take just a moment to walk off to the right side of the trail and enjoy the view. Okay, a lot more rocks on the trail here. So above middle Joffre Lake, the trail is a lot less well graded. At least some sections are. And as we approach upper Joffre Lake, 1 more bridge to take us across the creek. And a little wood sculpture. And up here it gets kind of rooty. Now we catch our first glimpse of the lake through the trees. And the trail skirts the edge of the lake for a ways with a marker to warn you to keep away from the edge, not damage the sensitive habitat. And as we continue around the side of the lake, there's another outhouse here. So lots of opportunities to use the facilities if you really need to. And about 5 or 10 minutes along the lake, we come to a sign that says that we're 1 kilometer from the campground. And it's a lot of clambering over boulders here to get to the lake. Watch your step. So here we are at the upper Joffre Lake with that beautiful glacier on the other side and the wonderful turquoise waters. And off to the right here at the far end of the lake is where the campground is. We'll go and have a look at that. And back to the junction to the campground. It says 30 minutes for a one-way trip of 1 kilometer. Gives you an idea of what the trail's probably like. And indeed, it starts off as a fairly rocky scrabble again. Nice little cove with another great view of the lake. And there's all the people at the viewpoint admiring the lake and the glacier. Lots of rocky sections. And just shy of the campsite, we pass a really large rubble field. Not the place to be standing here in an avalanche, that's for sure. And then we come to the sign that says, "You are almost there." The trail skirts right along the edge of the water here. And here's the campground. Looks like an extremely nice washroom facility. And I see some signs of activity over on this rock scree that's jutting out into the lake a bit. I think that's where the actual campground is. So we've got tenters setting up tents. There's a food locker. So there's a few little flat pads here and there for small tents. No large RVs coming up here, that's for sure. A nice, quiet, peaceful camping site. Well, this rock really stands out in a field of white boulders. There's probably a story behind this. Okay, this is quite nice here. Very scenic indeed. We've had a bit of cloud move in, so between the shade and the nice cool breeze coming off the glacier, it's very pleasant here. I would guess it's around 22, 23 degrees. Which is really nice considering that down in Pemberton it's probably over 30. So this is actually quite pleasant for a hot day. And way over on the other side of the lake there is the rock pile where we came out initially to have a good look at the lake. And now we're on the side of the lake where the glacier is. And from over here it looms far above us. And it's been 2 hours and 20 minutes it took me to get to this point. Okay, well, the time has come to head on back. Parking lot, 5.5 kilometers that away. Here we go. Time to say farewell to Upper Joffre Lake. And we're back down to the Middle Joffre Lake.
Are you filming right now?
I am filming right now.
Hello, we're on the Joffre Lake. My name is Frankie Boy. Tell him I'll be on the regular and I drink hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And we say goodbye to Middle Joffre Lake. Okay, and now we've come to the steep section. Fortunately, this time we're going the downhill direction. You should go this way, it's a lot easier.
I think so.
Yep, and now we're back down to the lower Joffre Lake, again peeking through the trees. And here's our last crossing of Joffre Creek. And we're back to the junction of the little side trail that goes and looks at lower Joffre Lake. Just a few minutes away from the parking lot. It says 15 minutes, but I don't know, I think it's more like 5 or 10. And indeed, by my pace, which is not a particularly rapid pace, 4 minutes back to the parking lot. And let's see how well I fared getting a spot in the shade. Well, the front half's in the shade, that's not bad. Yeah, I don't know what's better, the hike or, oh yeah, taking the hiking boots off at the end. Well, that was another great hike. You know what I really like about Joffre Lakes is you actually get those 3 different lakes on the way. I don't know of any other trail around here that has 3 just gorgeous glacier-fed lakes with that beautiful turquoise color to them. It's really something special. So there's really something here for everybody. I mean, if you're just driving up the Duffey Lake Road and you want to take a quick side trip for maybe 10 or 15 minutes to go look at the lower lake, you do that. If you want to take a little bit more ambitious trek for maybe an hour or two, you can go up to the middle lake, or if you want to do the whole deal, you can go right up to the top. It's pretty strenuous between the first lake and the middle lake, and not quite so much so to the upper lake. But you know, if you take your time, take plenty of breaks, make it enjoyable, it's well worth the effort, in my opinion. And of course, if you're going for the cardio, then just go for it. I mean, it'd be a great cardio workout too. It took me about an hour and 3/4 to get down from the campsite up there, and the total time for the whole trek up and back worked out to about 4.5 hours. So it's a little better than the 5 hours suggested on the signs. And again, I'm not a really fast hiker, so that should be achievable by anyone in, you know, half decent shape. So a good hike, and another one that I recommend. Is there one that I don't? Not so far. So until next hike, take care and don't break a leg.